recording started here. And here we go. All right. So Google Drive is a file storage and syncing service that's developed by Google. It allows you to store files in the cloud, synchronize files across your devices, and then share files really easily with others. You can access Google on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet. As long as you have an internet connection, you have access to all of your files. When you change or delete a file, Drive makes those same changes everywhere across all devices that you have hooked up with Google Drive. So that way you don't have to remember to make those same adjustments later on. This is a free service that comes with your Gmail email account. So you do have to have a Gmail email address in order to access Google Drive, but it's free. You can sign up for one. And once you have that Gmail account, you get 15 gigabytes of storage for all of Google's different applications, including Google Drive. So on your computer, you can go right to drive.google.com to get into Google Drive. Or if you are in your email or something like that, you have the 6 circles, squares, or 9 circles or squares, and then you can choose Drive from that menu. So drive.google.com gets you to this page here where you then have to say go to Drive, which then brings you to this screen here. So I want to go over all the different parts and pieces of this main Google Drive page. So up along the top, we have our search bar. This allows you to search for specific files that you have within Google Drive. So when you search in this box, you are not searching Google in and of itself. You're searching your files that you have stored in Drive. New lets you upload new files, folders, as well as create new documents right in Drive in and of itself. And we'll come back and spend a little more time on that. You have your settings over here on the right-hand side. It's your little gear icon where you can get to settings. You have your log out button in the top right. It's going to be the first initial of the name associated with your account. You just click on it and then you have sign out down at the bottom there. Further down on this left-hand side, you have your trash, how much storage you've already used. So you can see, even though I don't have anything in Drive, I have used 7 megabytes. And that's because it's also pulling things out of my email or Google Photos. And then in this middle section is where all of your files will live. Are there any questions about the parts, pieces of Google Drive?
Not so far.
Perfect. So the first thing we're going to look at is uploading existing documents to Google Drive. So there's a couple different things you can do with Google. You can store documents that you've created elsewhere. So you can see here Microsoft Office files and hundreds more, or you can create Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and more right in Google. So what we're looking at first is existing documents that aren't Google created. So a Microsoft Word, an Excel spreadsheet, things like that. So to upload an existing one, we're going to click right on New, and then I'm going to choose File Upload. And when I choose File Upload, it opens the Windows Explorer on my computer where I can select what it is that I'm adding. So you would navigate to wherever you have your files stored that you want to add. You can click on one just once and then click on the word open, and that's going to open the one. Or I'm going to hold the shift key on my keyboard and click both the first and the last, and that selects all these. And then I'm going to say open. Perfect. So while these are uploading, I want to talk about the other things that you can do with new. So folder is going to create a new folder within Google Drive. If you're already in a folder, it creates a subfolder. File upload is what we just did, so it lets you quickly upload individual or select a group of files. Folder upload lets you quickly upload an entire folder of files. Google Docs is a text document, so the equivalent of Microsoft Word. Google Sheets is a spreadsheet software, so the equivalent of Excel. And Google Slides is PowerPoint presentations and slideshows, so the equivalent of Microsoft PowerPoint. And then there's more options if you hover over more, but these aren't things that you use very often, so we're not going to go into too much detail. So our files are finished uploading at this point. So you can tell that because they all have this green check mark next to them. If something didn't upload successfully, it would either have a red X or it would be grayed out. And then you could click on it to see what the problem was. So it shows up really easily. I don't need to do anything else, so I can just close this small window with this X. Are there any questions about uploading existing documents?
No questions.
All right. So we're going to look at creating a folder. So if you're like me, I like to have lots of folders and subfolders, and I like everything to belong in a very specific place. So I use the folder part of Google Drive a lot. So I click on new, and then all I'm going to do is choose folder. And then it asks me to name my folder. Ideally, you would have it with a distinguishing name, something that gives you a good idea of what's in that particular folder, but you have your own naming conventions. You name it what is most useful for you. And once you've named it, you can just say create. You are able to rename it, so don't feel like you have to choose something that's going to be permanent, but it's a good idea to get something good from the get-go. So our new folder is appearing at the top of the window now. There's lots of easy ways you can add documents to the folder. I can just simply click and drag and drop them in there. Or if I select one, so I've just clicked on practice image, I can say move to. So I clicked on these three dots, the menu, and then move to. And then I can choose what folder I want it to live in, or create a new folder. If I double click on the folder itself, it opens it up and I can see what I have in there. I can also create a subfolder within this. And then I can just keep going further and further, and I can make more subfolders, subfolders, et cetera, et cetera. What's nice is that as you get into your folders, Google has this breadcrumb feature where it tells you where you were and how you got there. So the one that's furthest on the right is where you are at that moment. So I am in practice subfolder. I got there from practice folder, and I got to practice folder from my drive. Clicking on one of those takes me right back to whatever it is that I had just clicked on. So if I had clicked on practice folder, it would have taken me back one step. My drive takes me back all the way. Are there any questions about folders?
No questions.
All right. So when you open an item that was not created on Google, so these 4 things that we've uploaded were not created on Google. So when I click on them, what I'm going to get is a preview of this item. So it's not something I can edit or make changes to, but I can view it, and then if I need to, I can download or print it. So in this top right-hand corner, you've got your download button or your print button. So if this was something I did need to make changes to, I would have to download it, open it from my downloads folder, and then make whatever changes it is that I needed to make. And then I have to re-upload it to Google Drive. So that's kind of the downfall if you're using something that was not created in Google, and that you have to re-upload when you make those changes. So here I've got my practice Word doc, and if I say new file upload, I'm going to go down to my downloads because that's where it's saved. Practice Word doc. And here it uploads as version 2. So now you can see in this little preview, I have my red make changes. I can keep it as a separate file if I want both of those. And then now I have that original one without the make changes, and then the one that I had the changes made in. So you can do that from this, this upload button. So it had that keep a separate version. I clicked on that, and now I have 2 separate ones. Otherwise, it just automatically replaces the one that you had downloaded. The only time you have to pay attention to that is if you do want to keep it separate. Otherwise, it'll just do its thing and you'll be set. Are there questions about downloading, uploading second versions, anything like that?
No questions.
Perfect. So like I was saying before, Google has its own version of the Microsoft Office suite, but it's totally free. So you can create Word documents, PowerPoint slides, and Excel spreadsheets all in Google. The nice thing about these cloud-based programs is that you don't have to download software to your computer or pay for anything. So it's free, comes with your Google account. You don't have to download it to a computer. You're just able to use it. And it does make pretty professional documents. So what we're going to start with is Google Docs, which, like I said before, is the Microsoft Word equivalent. So it's creating a Word document. It looks very similar to a Microsoft Word document. You'll notice that even some of these, like the text size and things like that, those are all in the same space that they are in Microsoft. And then you have your tools up at the top here. So you can type in the body of your document here. A couple of things to point out is up along the top, it has this untitled document. If I click in there, I can name it whatever I might need to name it. I press enter, and then it saves those changes for me. So Google is saving everything automatically, which is super nice, so you don't have to worry about if something happened to your internet or you refresh the page. It's going to upload, or it's going to save automatically, and it'll tell you if there's any issues with that saving. So as I make changes, it starts to save them. And then it's already saved. You do have the option, oh, maybe they moved it. So you can click on this last edit, whether it says it was seconds ago or it has a previous date, and see the previous versions. But for the most part, you're not going to need that. And then, like I said, since it's saving automatically, we don't have to do anything special with this. We can just close the tab. And then now I have a practice Google Doc in my folder. Any questions about Google Docs?
No questions.
All right. So the next one that's probably the next most familiar is Google Sheets. So Google Sheets is comparable to Microsoft Excel. So it's a spreadsheet software. It works the same way. It has all the formula functionality. You can have multiple spreadsheets per workbook. You name it the same way. So up at the top it says untitled. I press enter and it saves. But so yeah, you can do everything that you would be able to do in Microsoft Excel. You have your formulas if you needed to do anything like that. And then all your spreadsheets down along the bottom. It's, you know, if you're familiar with Excel, you can do it all in Sheets. And now I also have practice Google Sheet in my folder. And then the last one is the Google Slides, which is basically a PowerPoint presentation. So when I click on Google Slides, same deal. You have all your editing options. They do have themes, so you can choose a theme, choose a color. You can title it up at the top. And then it's saved those changes. But it works the same way as a PowerPoint slide. You have the option for transitions, animations, things like that. And then you can present it from the computer as well. All right, are there questions about any of those three things?
No questions.
All right. So one of the biggest questions that I get in this class is, why should I use a Google product? So for one thing, there's a collaboration aspect on Google that's really nice that you don't necessarily get on Word. So more than one person can be editing a Google Doc at one time. So if I had shared, we'll look at sharing, but if I had shared that with somebody, this Google Doc, they could be making changes and I can see those changes live as they're happening. So no more emailing somebody, waiting for them to email you back, saving the wrong document, having version 3 instead of the correct version, whatever it may be. In Google, everybody can collaborate at the same time. The other really nice thing about Google is that you can access these documents, anything in your drive, from any computer or device. So with Microsoft Word documents, you either have to save it to your email, pay for the online subscription, or have it on like a USB in order to access it on a different computer. With Google, as long as you know your Gmail password and you have an internet connection, you have access to your documents. There is a way to save things for no internet connection, and we'll kind of look at that a little bit later. But for the most part, you need your password and an internet connection. The other thing is that automatic saving. So Microsoft, if you pay for the online version, they'll automatically save. But otherwise, you have to remember to click save every 5 minutes or whatever it might be, so that way you don't lose any of your work. Google does all of that remembering for you. Any questions about anything I've gone over?
No questions.
All right. We're just trucking through this today. So right at the beginning, I went over how to download items manually uploaded. So how to download a Word document. You can also download documents that you created in Google. So I can download a Google Doc to my computer to be able to access. What you're going to do, and the process is the same whether you are working in Sheets, Slides, or Docs. It's the same. But so you open it up, and then you're going to click on the words File. And then from File, you're going to say Download. And then with this download, you can choose how it is that you download this document. So you have the option of downloading it for Microsoft Word. So you can save it to your computer as a Word document. But you also have the option to save it as a PDF. So if it's something that you need to have the same formatting no matter where it's opened or something like that, you can download it as a PDF. And then now I have this PDF. It's uneditable. I can't make changes to it, but I know that it looks the same for whoever is opening it. But the steps are the same no matter what format you're doing it in. You'll know what format either because it's the format you're using most, or you're doing it for something that has told you specifically what format, so you can download it that way. If you do download it as a Word document and you make changes to it, you do have to be aware that those changes aren't going to automatically show up in Google because you downloaded it and made those changes in the Word document. So you can also delete things. So if you don't need something anymore, if it's old, irrelevant, all you have to do is click on it. And then there's a trash can icon in the top. Click right on that trash can. You can also right click and remove, and it moves it to the trash. Your trash shows up on this left-hand side. So I can click on trash and find everything that I've deleted in here. It'll stay in your trash for a little bit longer than 30 days, but you can either restore it. So I right clicked on this and I can restore, puts it back into my drive, or I can delete it permanently. So you can see I've created several new things now, and now my storage has gone up. So it was 7.9 and now I'm at 8.3. So it does eat into your storage a little bit. Any questions about deleting anything?
No questions.
All right. So earlier, just a little bit ago, I was talking about sharing items and how people can collaborate and work on the same document at the same time. So we're going to take a second and look at sharing. So there's a couple different ways you can share, but it does differ if it's a Google created item, so Google Doc, etc., versus something you uploaded to Google. We're going to go over both. So the first one we're going to look at is an uploaded item. So we're going to look at this practice Word doc. So I'm going to open it up. In the top right corner, I'm going to click on these three dots, and then I'm going to say share. And this brings up this choice. You can enter the email address of the person you want to share it to. They don't have to have a Gmail email address. You can share it with anybody regardless. Or you can share a specific link, and only people with that link can do it. So if I add somebody here, so I've typed in my work email, I can say, choose what they are able to do with the document. So I can choose whether they can edit it, so make changes, and that's the editor. Just view is a viewer, so they can't make any changes, can't add any notes, anything like that. And then commenter lets them make notes, but it doesn't change the actual document itself. It lets you review what they want to do before those changes are made. So you just have to click on which one you want them to have. If you want them to receive an email notification, you'll want to make sure that this box is checked here. And then you can type in a message. And they'll see that in their email. And then all you have to do is say send. And then that person that you've shared it with is able to access the document until you take that privilege away. So if I click back on share, I can see who has privilege. So I can remove somebody if they don't need to have that privilege anymore. So that's sharing something not created in Google. It works the same whether it's a PowerPoint, an Excel spreadsheet, whatever it may be. 3 dots, share, email address. Any questions?
No questions.
All right. I do want to show you what the email looks like for that person. So when they get it, it'll say this person's email address has shared the following document. There's the note that I added, and then I can click on open and it'll open that Word document up so that way I can see it. If you want to share something that's created in Google, so this is the Google Doc that I created. I open it up, so I double clicked on it to open. And then I'm going to click on this share button in the top right. And then from here, it's the exact same thing. So from here, I can type in a person, I can share it with a link, all of those. And then I can make change those privileges. You can do a quick share if you have something selected by just clicking on this little person icon. So you can do a quick share from the Google Drive screen. Any questions about sharing?
No questions.
All right. So vice versa, if somebody shares an item with you, it's going to appear in this shared with me sub menu. So these are just like random things that we've shared just for this class. So I clicked on shared with me, and then now I can see these documents. Shared with me isn't taking up space in my Google Drive. It's taking up space on the person who owned it or shared it with me, unless I have downloaded it to my own. You can add them to your drive if you really want to. Click and drag and add it to your drive. And then that way you are the person who owns it as well. So you also have recent, so that just shows you things that you've either uploaded or accessed recently. So we have all the things that I uploaded and created today, as well as things that existed prior. You can star items, that way you can find them a little bit faster. So if I select something, I can click on the 3 dots, add it to my starred. And now I have access to that a little bit faster if I need to. And then we already went over trash. You do have the ability to change how your drive looks. So this is my favorite setting. I like the tiles. But in the top left-hand corner, you can click on whatever icon it may be, and it switches to that. So this is the list view, and this is the tile view. So if you just click on it, you can switch it. You get the same information about what kind of document it is and the title, but the list view does give you a little more information about how big the slide is, things like that. That is the bulk of what I have. Let me